What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Yo, let me know if it starts getting choppy or if the stream start messing up or anything like that, because I want to make sure that we all good. What up, friends? How y'all feel? I will be monitoring the chat for feedback to make sure that the stream stays straight because you know, this Mexico Wi-Fi is a little different. It's a little bit different. I want to give a shout out to my dog, Mike, that dude, for holding me down on Cash App. What up, though? Yeah, we're gonna talk about all of that. We're gonna talk about tariffs. We're going to Kamala Harris pop back out. We're gonna talk about Black Boys Can't Read. Frisco team was stabbed. It's a lot that we got to cover. Nancy Pelosi, Chinese is reacting with retaliatory tariffs, the market updates, all of that. What up, y'all? What's happening? Dang, somebody said I forgot about this guy. Nice to see you still streaming. Oh, you the one that's been missing out then. You the one that's been missing out because we've been going up, 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 up. What up, what up, what up? But yeah, y'all keep me up to date to make sure that everything is staying cold as far as the stream. I want to make sure that we got a clear stream that's happening. It's a lot that's happening inside of society. And I want to get to this Black Boys Can't Read conversation, but I'm going to get to it towards the end of the show. People are saying that they love the chair. I love this chair too. I want to buy this chair and then ship it back to the United States of America. But then I'll probably have to pay a tariff. Chad from Moore says, when is the new channel launching Reading with Anton? Man, listen, bro, that conversation last night, I don't understand my guys, man. Sometimes y'all make me not want to make y'all my guys. Real talk. Sometimes y'all make me not want to make y'all my guys because some of the stuff that y'all was saying yesterday was absolutely insane. Real talk. Anyways, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel with 10 notifications. Let's see what we got popping off. You weak, Keisha. We got to do better. Listen, I'm going to just give y'all the update right now. My guys, we're going to have a very uncomfortable conversation. I don't know if I should talk about it now or if I should talk about it later. I don't know if I should talk about it now or if I should talk about it later. Make sure y'all tune in to After Hours tonight. Also, make sure y'all get that Patreon. Link is in the description. I'm definitely going to be rocking out and teaching y'all how to capitalize off of this market. AD, I emailed you a clip of the Hebrew Israelites in Kenya telling natives Jesus was black and they didn't take that well. Why do y'all care what color Jesus is? Is that going to actually add any value into y'all life as far as what y'all salvation is? I ain't going to get into that. Craig G says, morning bag chasers, may blessings be on everyone watching. Anton, thank you for getting this right every morning. You're welcome, Craig G, and I appreciate you for continuing to hold us down. Y'all ready to get to it? Is Jesus being black or white or whatever it is that y'all want him to be, is that going to help y'all read? While we still waiting for people to get in, I'm going to address it in the beginning of the show. So there's been conversations about, and let me close out some of these browsers or whatever. Conversations about different people having concerns, including women, about whether or not black boys can read. Now, I'm going to share a video with you guys that I think that kind of sort of sums up what the sentiment is for a lot of these people that are concerned about whether or not black boys can read. And then while people are coming into the stream, we'll go ahead and deep dive into other parts of the conversation. So let's go ahead and dig into it, y'all. This is a woman that was, well, she'll explain to you exactly who she is and why we're having this conversation.
So I just left out of an elementary school doing some observations for a client that we work with. And let me just say this. If we don't save our black boys, if we don't step up as a community and come to the rescue of our black boys, we are going to see that gap continue to widen between black boys who pursue education and skilled labor and black boys who are illiterate or end up in jail, in the streets. That number is going to continue to grow. And that gap is going to continue to widen between black girls and black boys. I watched and observed the black girls versus the black boys in this classroom. And this is a very mixed classroom. White kids, black kids, a few Hispanic kids. I think I saw like one Asian kid, but a mixed classroom. And the boys just couldn't sit down. They was up, they was being loud, they was having quiet time. The teacher was trying to redirect them. I don't think she was doing enough. And you just tell that they need more support. They need more structure. And I know that starts at home. But unfortunately, all of our black boys are not in a good home. So where's the village? When does the village kick in? I couldn't help myself. I was there doing observations for a client, and my observations hadn't started yet. They didn't start until about 15 more minutes, and they were doing like some math worksheets in their groups, and I couldn't help it. I called the two little black boys over there to me, sat them down. What y'all doing? Let's figure this math out. Showed them the math. They were like, oh, that's how you do it. I'm like, well, that's how I learned to do it. This is how your teacher's teaching you how to do it, which that's a whole nother topic of why are they teaching these kids this new math concept using these boxes? That's confusing. It was confusing to me. And I just literally breaking it down to me and I was confused. But that's a whole nother topic. What are we going to do for our boys? I literally just saw it again. I already knew this because I've been in education now literally all my life. Since I was a little girl, I was tutoring after school. But what are we going to do? Y'all, they need us. And even in just that moment, I was able to redirect them, get them to sit down and listen to me, get them to stop running around the classroom. And they came back and said, thank you. Thank you for helping me. And then they ran on out the door, being loud down the hallway. I don't know what it was just in that moment when they saw me, but I was like, come here and let's do this math. I was just real firm and direct with them. I can understand their teacher might be frustrated and that might not be her approach, but I'm not even putting it in the hands of them no more. It's on the community. If we got to start our own centers and our own spaces, I offer virtual tutoring. So if you see this message and your child is struggling with math, reading, science, social studies. Now with math, I can't do calculus. I can probably stop at like A, B. It gets a little, it gets a little tinkery with me there. But I can do really good with math, science. I have tutored many kids. I have tutored adults, help them get their GED. Please DM me, reach out to me. I'm gonna put my email address in the caption. Like, we gotta say.
All right, I think that that's enough. She pretty much hit the nail on the head. And so I want to have this conversation really quickly before we get into the show, because I was disgusted personally by the reaction to us having a discussion about boys being educated. Now, it's a couple different ways that we need to slice this. The first way that we need to slice this is growing up, adolescence, elementary, middle school, high school, and the fact that a lot of young black kids cannot read. A lot of young boys cannot read. And we know that there's many symptoms and problems that come along with that, such as broken homes, which is one of the reasons why I'm adamant that you do not have children out of wedlock. We focus a lot on relationships. We focus a lot on women. We focus a lot on whether or not you opening up your legs to men that will not support you. And this is also further proof that money alone is not enough. I know guys say, well, I paid the child support or whatever, so on and so forth. Money alone is not enough to put you in a position to where you will be successful as an individual. There are a lot of young guys that are in middle class, poor, parents got a decent amount of money, and they cannot read. And I know we all like to blame it on the teachers, but I'm telling you that teachers are the ones that are the overglorified babysitters, and y'all depending on latchkey and teachers. And this has been generation after generation after generation where y'all think that y'all can just drop out of school. I remember when I was in school and I graduated in 2000, there were guys that dropped out in ninth grade and 10th grade and said that they was just going to go and get their GED. And then that was going to be the end of his high school diploma. They never had a mindset to learn. And it's because our mothers and our father, and more importantly, the culture, to where we wanted to push our children to be better than us. Now, on top of that, let's move over into higher education. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted because when you become an adult and when you become a, you know that society is going to be unrelenting. It is going to be on your ass 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And men are, they don't have a safety net. So when you sit there and you tell me, Anton, college isn't worth it, how can you make that assessment? How can you tell me that being better educated is not worth it? How can you tell me having more opportunity? Because really that's what it's all about, is making sure that you can communicate effectively, that you learn what you need to learn, that you are better educated, and that you have the opportunities before you so that you can make sure that you make more money and that you have a safety net no matter what. Listen, if all of this goes to hell and I decide that I no longer want to develop properties, I can still lean back on my education and my work experience to continue to get to a bag. And y'all are dependent. Listen, Stellantis workers, because a lot of these companies were interdependent on outside forces and outside countries for them to be able to have jobs. Your jobs and your opportunities are limited because you are basically subjected to whatever the company, whatever the market, whatever happened in politics plays a role in your life. You are dependent on other people to give you a job, right? And that's cool. But my point is that what happens when you no longer have the stability, because layoffs happen every single day? What happens when you no longer have the stability of having a basic job, and then the market determines what happens to you? The value of something is based off of the demand. So if I go into an industry or I get educated, and please, let's not lead with the idea that, oh man, you make more money. No, you don't. Listen, any study from the 90s and the 80s all the way up until 2025, it will tell you that people that have a college degree, especially if you get it in an industry that is in demand, they make millions of dollars more than people that don't. If anything, what happened to getting to the bag? If anything, see, you keep making excuses and you don't want to be accountable, and you keep trying to blame somebody else for your circumstances, but that's not going to solve it. It's not going to solve it. Once you become an adult, Regardless of what happened to you, you now have a responsibility to yourself, you have a responsibility to your children, and you have a responsibility to your family to make sure you are the best possible. And you can't yeah, listen, y'all keep trying to take shortcuts. Oh man, I could do a crash course. Fam, some of y'all can't even read. Some of y'all can't even read, fam. Did you know that the fastest way out of poverty is through education? That is a fact. That is a statistic. That's not even my opinion. The fastest way for you to pull yourself out of poverty, and I'm not telling you to get a basket weaving degree or go and get a liberal arts or study African American studies. The fastest way for you to pull yourself up, even if you're not in poverty, even if you're doing okay, the fastest way for you to get a leg up and leapfrog into the next thing is to get an education. The standard for our community should be, at minimum, a bachelor's degree in something that is actually in demand in the future. Shouldn't be high school, shouldn't be middle school, GED, some college. You keep checking off some college on your applications. The minimum standard in our community, because I'm going to tell you, if you want to understand how to advance the community, because all y'all keep saying that y'all for the community, you black power and all of this stuff. Don't you know that all of those little dumb speeches by these people that are monetizing and telling you to hit the Cash App, but not telling you to go get educated because they pander into you and they taking your money, but they not actually pressuring you and pushing you to be the best version of yourself? Don't you know that other communities, if you want to study how to pull yourself up as a community, if all of y'all are black first, couple different things that you're going to have to learn. A, you need to stop having children out of wedlock. B, two-parent households and keeping money within the community and making sure that you reinvest in yourself is always going to be best. And C, education is the best way to pull yourself out of poverty. We used to be a community where if your mother and your father wasn't educated and they went to get a job at the plant and the factory and she went and worked as a secretary or whatever and she got the minimum job, then what they did was they made sure. And that's why a lot of people in my generation was the first people to go to college. A lot of us rejected it. A lot of us went there and partied. You went to college so that you can get the money and you still own your student loans and you didn't get nothing in return for it. You paid for something that you never got. The minimum standard in our community should be you getting educated, associates, bachelors, whatever it is. You have to go to college. You have to go to college. You are not Floyd Mayweather. You are not Jay-Z. You are not an athlete. You're not LeBron James. Stop comparing yourself to people who are extraordinary. You are not them. You need every opportunity and every leg up to get yourself to the next level. You spend 8 hours a day justifying why you can play video games, but you telling me that you can't read a book? You can't teach. You taught yourself every single leverage, every position. You camping on every map. You put hours and hours and hours into GTA, but you telling me that you can't take an hour, but reading is boring. So getting yourself more money is boring. You know every camping spot. You go to Los Santos to continue to customize your digital car every day. You out here trying to finesse, you scam, you putting all of this money in trying to get to the dark market. You don't even know what the black market is. You're trying to get to the dark market. The only reason that you invested in crypto is so you can send some money to buy something that you ain't supposed to have. Y'all keep going to Miami. You can't take a year to teach yourself how to read efficiently so that you can then take a class and level up and continue to grow and become more successful. A lot of your jobs actually offer tuition reimbursement, or they will pay for you to go to school and you don't care about it. We need to remove the excuses, family. We need to remove the excuses. At some point, fam, at some point, you need to understand that you're not stupid. And maybe that's the conversation that I need to have first. Before I push y'all, and we about to get into this whole show with the tariffs and everything, Before I push y'all and before we start the debate back and forth about liberal versus conservative policies, maybe somebody needs to tell you that you're not stupid. You might have thought that you were dumb your entire life. You may have thought that you wasn't as smart as everybody your entire life. You may have played yourself and downplayed yourself because somebody told you, or you thought that you were less than, or you've came up your entire life feeling inferior. And I don't care about what you project yourself to be. You know who you are when you go to bed at night by yourself. Maybe you thought that you weren't good enough. I'm telling you that there is nobody on this earth that is smarter than you. There's the anomalies, there's the geniuses, and then there's the rest of us. There's the anomalies and the geniuses, and then there's the rest of us. You're not good because you don't try. You're not good because you don't put in the work. You're not good because you didn't put in your 10,000 hours. You're not dumb. You're just not good because you haven't put in the work. You put in the work to everything else. You go and you study these game podcasts. You want to know how to spit game to these hoes. You learn every technology so you can send your DMs. We spend all of this time playing video games. You want to understand how to get the quick money and become a bag chaser, but you don't want to actually put the time in to get to the fundamentals. And I can't teach you how to be more successful if you don't know how to read. You playing yourself. You're not playing me. You're playing yourself, and you're not stupid, fam. You're not stupid. You smart as hell. You smart as hell. You just have not leveraged it. You have not taken control of your life. And I need you to be better than everybody else around you. And when I say better than everybody else around you, your wife should not be leading you. You should be leading your family. You need to be educated because you need to read these contracts. You need to be able to direct your children and give precedence and determine who goes where, because you know more than they do, but you're just now redirecting it because you're the expert. You need to know how those numbers work. You need to learn your math. You need to work on it every day. Self-improvement every day. 45 minutes, an hour every day. Grind, hustle. Stop depending on other people's talking points and learn to research it for yourself. When I hear something, I go and read the Bible for myself. When I see something, I go and research the charts for myself. And I didn't know it all right away. And some of y'all are a little bit hamstrung because you're worried about the lingo. The lingo may intimidate you, right? People's little degrees may intimidate you. But once you start to catch it, you're going to realize, wait a minute, they wasn't smarter than me. They just talked it different. It was the lingo. It was the fact that they were saying this, and I didn't understand what that meant. You smart as hell, bro. Act like it. Act like it. Don't come up, because listen, the more you come around me and you keep trying to act like, oh man, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I know you don't know what I'm talking about. I know you don't get it. That's why I say I break it down from a C student's perspective. I'm not smarter than you. I'm not the smartest or the sharpest knife in the toolbox. I just work my ass off. When I was in school, right? When I was in class or whatever, do you know that I made sure that I studied the material before I went to class, because they would give us syllabus. They give you the syllabus and they tell you, listen, this is what we're going to do in this week, this week, this week, this week, this week. And so I would already read the chapter and study everything before I got there. That way I never had to take notes, and people would look at me and say, oh, he just smart because he ain't even taking no notes. No, I already took the notes. I already read the book. I knew that the guy next to me may have been smarter than me, but he wasn't going to outwork me. So I would read the chapter, and then I would be able to focus all of my energy on what the professor was saying or what the teacher was saying, because I already had a foundation in it. So what they were saying was just confirmation. I was able to interact a little bit more. I always sat at the front of the class. Stop letting these people tease you and tell you just because you sit at the front of the class, because you wouldn't tell that to your son. If your son came home and said, Father, they teasing me because I sat at the front of the class and they said that I was a nerd, you would reaffirm him and you would say, hey man, they dumb. They're going to be stupid. They're going to be dead or in jail. Why doesn't it apply to you? Why is it not applicable to you? Why are you teaching your kids something that you're not living? Why are you trying to lead this woman on something that you're not doing? Anything that's applicable to the people that are under you is applicable to you first. I'm never going to tell you to do something that I would not do myself. You're going to have to be proactive. You're going to have to work silently in your own time. The reason that you got a bad podcast is because you don't know how to talk, family. The reason why you keep saying, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for donating, I'm going to catch y'all later, is because you don't know how to read the super chats. Family, everything you do, you got to put your 10,000 hours in. Hustle, grind, get it, work it. Be better than the people that's next to you. Somebody get the best of you. Somebody do better than you. Put that and use that in your spirit as negative motivation so that you know that the next time that they come up on you or the next person that run up on you, they're going to have some problems. We put more time into sports. We study the film. We trying to understand. Nigga, Jokic did 61, 12, and 10 on his stats the other day. Hey, man, Steph Curry did this. Y'all keep trying to sports bet. Man, you trying to get lucky. You gambling with your life. You gambling with your never be able to take from you is your education. The one thing that they'll never be able to finesse from you is your education. And the one thing you'll be able to use to see through who real and who not is when you know your stuff, because you'll know that they BSing you. That's the strongest, it's the fastest, the best thing to use as leverage for being able to decipher whether or not somebody is real or they not. It's easy for somebody to finesse you when they just use big words because you don't understand it. So now you're trying to use your context clues to really be able to fit in. You don't want to seem like a dummy. You're afraid to raise your hand and ask a question. You don't want to question them because you're going to seem stupid when you ask it. No, it's because you ain't did the work and you don't understand what you're talking about. You waiting on somebody to give you a hand up and a hand out. It's not going to work, fam. It's not going to work. If you want success, if you want greatness, and let me incentivize you with this last thing, and just give me 30 more seconds. Give me 30 more seconds. You want to get rich. The fastest way to do it is to get educated. Most people are able to invest in themselves because they make more money as a result of leveling up and becoming more successful. Let's get this money, man. Let's get this money, man. Let's get this money, man. This ain't for the women. This ain't for nobody else. This is for us. We got to get this money, bro. Let's get this money, all right? You're not dumb. You're not stupid, right? You ain't got to prove yourself by being a part of the cool kids club to say, man, skip that. College is for don't need that. I myself, personally, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, you know what? I think I'm about to go back to school. They said, why, Anton? Right? You already where you need to be. You already got the money. You already got the businesses. You already doing well. I said, because I want it for me. I don't know where it would take me. I don't know what other opportunities is going to present itself to me. I don't know what my future looks like, but I'm interested in becoming more knowledgeable and getting more of the opportunity, and I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to invest in myself. Don't get left behind. Let's get this money. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. I'm going to read these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get it popping with the show, all right? Just wanted to make sure I address that because I don't want y'all out here falling behind for no reason. Eric Wealth Harris says, good morning, AD. I watched a little bit of After Hours this morning, and beautiful Molly is becoming unhinged. I don't believe in censorship, but wow. Shelby Scott says, Anton, do you have any videos censored around Python? No, I don't. No. Do you know that the first videos that I actually made on the Anton Daniels channel was tutorials on coding? But I removed them because obviously I moved in a different direction. No, I don't have any videos on Python. All right. Barbecue Pit says, Anton, your channel has been a blessing in my life. Now that the stock market is so low, is it a good idea for me to buy shares today? Yes. You should be dollar cost averaging, right? You should be automating the investment process. Everything is cyclical and everything is going to run it up. D says, China coming back with their tariff shows that they're in a panic. Trump has always played business and won. This is going to be fun. I think so too. We need more men teaching. Easy fix. No, I think that we need to segregate schools between genders personally. I think that we need to stop distracting our children by having them have co-ed classes. I think that the best thing that can happen to us is that you had the boys with the boys and the girls with the girls. That's my own personal opinion. Matthew Young says, I dropped out in the 10th grade, got my GED, went to the military, got my bachelor's in computer science,
in Milwaukee. Now I'm in grad school for machine learning at Milwaukee School of Engineering. VA paying for it all. Talk to him, Matthew. Ain't nothing better than continuing to get educated. Don Morton says, email on properties was sent. Let me know. Thanks. J-Lo on the track VP says, good morning, family. Keep doing great things today, AD, and everyone flying to Detroit today to visit. Yo, Tigers open day is tomorrow. I'm not going to be there, but I'm looking forward to getting back in the city. Billy Go Gruff says, what Slimmy said yesterday is true. These black boys are getting ridiculed for being smart so much. So my boy Breezy and I were discussing putting a documentary in a book called The Smart Art In. Christopher Mayberry says, nice to see you off that floor. I might be back on it tonight. Bryce Broomfield says, most Democrats have Stockholm Syndrome. You and everyone should go watch the documentary, The Greatest Show on Earth, on Rumble. Ryan Powell says, clip all of this and upload it everywhere, please. High Tolerance says, good morning. AD and the Bag Chasers. Graduating high school used to be the bare minimum before standards plummeted. Blame the parents. Pookie can break down eighths and fourths and halves, and they can convert it. But hits the wall reading, nan over the can. That's true, man. Brandon Victor says, you can be smarter than me, but you're not going to outwork me. 392Q says, can we have these monologues more often or a channel dedicated to it? You be preaching. Keep it up, my guy. Thank you, 392Q. Parabellum Film Club says, if you're going to take anything from athletes, learn how they think and hone their craft and apply it to your process. Trill Mercy says, never thought I was smart growing up. Got tired of dead-end jobs. Joined the military and got into college. I have a master's in IO, Psych, and CERT and data analytics. Never think you can't accomplish anything. Work built success. I like that. Billy Go Gruff says, help is needed. I have a proposal put together for a AI and code school for Elon, bringing those same Doge geniuses to Brooklyn, Detroit communities. AD pursuing CFA and MBA in a few years. Good idea. I don't see why not. Just make sure you minimize the amount that you're paying for it. You don't want to take out a lot of student loans unless you can pay it back pretty quickly. Steady123 says, if you're just starting to invest, is now a good time to put a lot of money in the market with the lows? No, just dollar cost average. Don't try to get in and try to hurry up and get rich. I think that you should make sure y'all join the Patreon, get in the stock club. Link to the Patreon is in the description of the video. I'm going to do a live stream this weekend and I'm going to talk about it. Nurse Hart says, facts, acute care nurse practitioner here, doctor of nursing practice, get educated. Education has been good to me. And we ain't going to let these women leave us behind, are we? We ain't going to let these women leave us behind, are we? No, we can't do that. Purpose is everything. Says, hey, Anton, more Anton audits, please. I absolutely love Anton in the streets, educating the public. Yep, when I get back home, I'm on it. Thank you to everybody that continues to support the platform and the channel. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for holding me down. Let's get into the show. So before I get into the tariffs and China's retaliation and Canada's reaction and all of that stuff, I want to address something that actually, shout out to Brian McKnight. Brian McKnight sent this to me because I wasn't even aware of it. But Brian McKnight sent this to me. And I was like, man, that's crazy because I'm not sure if I want to talk about it. But then I start seeing it all over my algorithm because he sent it to me yesterday. And I start seeing it all over my algorithm. And it's I don't know if it's a black or white issue. I don't know what is going on. First one's with skill and stabbing at track meet. What's the typo? Somebody said it's a typo in the headline. I don't know. I'll address it. I'll get into it. Frisco teen stabbed. Black men. Kamala Harris is back. China tariffs in the U.S. China tariffs the U.S. I don't know. We'll deal with it. But I want to get into this really quickly. So we're not going to spend any more than 10 minutes on it. So this is a situation of what's going on. Y'all said it's one in the spacing. Nah, the spacing, that's just how it's spaced. I can double space it. But anyways, let's get into it. And I want to share this with y'all, and I want to get y'all thoughts on this.
The Frisco Memorial High School community gathered tonight in grief after the stabbing death of a teenager at a track meet.
Another teenager, a student.
It's not supposed to say attack. It's at track meet. That's what it is.
Metcalf's twin brother was at the track.
Let me give y'all a more updated version of the story because before I react to it and before I give my thoughts, I see y'all making excuses inside of the chat like we always do about some of the things that's happening in the community, and it shouldn't be happening in the community. Y'all not gonna give me any excuse as to why this is happening, and you can't justify it. But let me go ahead and share the most recent update that I found about it, because I want to react to this in truth. I don't want to just give an opinion off the cuff.
UFAA has obtained new court documents revealing how Austin Metcalf was stabbed to death at a track meet in Frisco. Police say another teenager had fresh blood on his finger when they found him at Kirkendall Stadium.
The affidavit shows that when officers arrived, Carmelo Anthony told them he got into an argument with Metcalf, and when the arresting officer said he had the alleged suspect in custody, Anthony replied, "I'm not alleged, I did it."
But Anthony told officers he only acted in self-defense and asked them if Metcalf was okay.
Several witnesses paint a different picture, and Metcalf's father told Matt Howerton he is not buying the excuse.
I had a dream last night, and Austin came to me and said, "I'm okay." It gives me peace. Doesn't mean I don't hurt.
The last 24 hours, unimaginable for Austin Metcalf's father, his mother, his twin brother.
Right now, I'm really numb, and I really don't feel anything. I just have to function.
Metcalf, just 17 when he arrived at Frisco ISD's district track meet Wednesday. His final breaths taken before 11 a.m., police say, after being stabbed to death by a fellow Frisco ISD student, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, now charged with first-degree murder.
My world's a little shattered.
An argument over where Anthony was sitting while the meet experienced a rain delay sparked a confrontation between the teen and Metcalf. According to arrest paperwork, Anthony sitting underneath Metcalf's team tent. You could see it from the air when we flew over the crime scene. Metcalf from Memorial High, Anthony from Centennial. A witness telling police Metcalf told Anthony to move from under the team's tent because he didn't go to their school. The witness telling police Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." Investigators writing that Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and that Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. When officers arrived, the knife was found, and police say Anthony admitted to what happened, but said this to police: "He put his hands on me. I was protecting myself," even asking another officer if what happened could be considered self-defense.
What do you expect? If you're caught, the best thing you're gonna do is try to lie your way out.
Reasonable excuse.
The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened.
Let me tell you what it sounds like to me. All right. Now that we have more context to the whole conversation, this is what it sounds like to me. It sounds like he went there looking for trouble, and that's the reason that he had a knife in his bag, and he pulled the knife out of his bag looking to make sure. It's almost like I'm inciting a situation where somebody can confront me so that I can make sure that I do something to them, and then I can claim self-defense as a result of it. He went there looking for trouble. He went there with a knife on purpose, and he reached in his bag, and then he stabbed that boy in his chest, and then he tried to justify it by saying, well, it was self-defense. And let me tell you what else is going to happen. You are going to see an outpouring of support, an outpouring of people in the community that try to defend this situation. And I'll also tell you that they're going to make it a race issue. They are going to make it a race issue. They are not going to make it a student issue. I don't look at this as a student issue. I mean, as a race issue. I don't look at this as a black versus white. I don't look at this as any of that. I look at this as a kid that was out there looking for trouble. He brought a knife and he literally stabbed that boy, and he killed him right in front of everybody else, and he didn't even think twice about it. Real talk. Y'all saying that he had multiple gang pics on social media. I don't know. I haven't looked at his social media. That's not a thing or whatever, so on and so forth. But listen, man, listen. You have to learn how to walk away. I have taught my daughter how to avoid confrontation, and thank God that she's had strong family, people that have a great mind, and she has her taekwondo, in which she has multiple coaches and teachers and stuff like that, that has taught her self-restraint. She at one point was ranked #1 in the country in her age group. She is training to be a USA Olympian. There's multiple instances where she could have probably broke a chick's whole face open. I remember situations where they teased her from walking away, but she had enough mental fortitude and she had enough self-confidence to know, I'm walking away because I'm doing the best thing for you, not because it's actually going to hurt me. We have to teach our kids to think. We have to teach our kids to be educated. We have to teach our kids self-restraint, because guess what? She never going to see them again. Doesn't even matter. She having a good time. She moved on with her other friends. She got her car. She got a great community. We walking away and we keeping it moving. They went there looking for confrontation, and part of it is probably because of his cultural norm. Part of it is because what he justified in his mind, and now he's going to have to pay the rest of his life. And more importantly, another kid died in his twin brother's arms, and it's all over what? Over nothing. It's so stupid. I guarantee you this is going to be a race issue. I guarantee you're going to see people coming out and having this conversation. Boy, but let me tell you something. If it was the black student that had the high GPA and he was the leader of the football team and he had got stabbed, I guarantee you black people would overrun that entire school and hold him accountable for that. They would be on father's lawn. They would be protesting. They would be putting his picture on social media. They would be trying to incite people to go and do some violence to him. His twin would never be able to live his life as a regular boy anymore. If this was the other way around, it would be over. It would be absolutely over. They'd tear that school down. They'd be seeking a death penalty. They would be seeking the death penalty. Absolutely. 100%. Al Sharpton would be out there. No, I'm not making it a race issue. I'm telling you how hypocritical we are in holding people accountable. I don't believe it's a race issue, but I believe that everybody is looking forward to an opportunity when they can make it a race issue, and we need to start holding people accountable and stop being so hypocritical. If it was the other way around and it was a black kid, I'm telling you, you would have everybody and their mama. This would be the biggest story on social media. It would be the biggest story on social media. You got to hold the kid accountable. He did something wrong. He needs to be held accountable. He was looking for trouble. He brought a knife to the track meet. He killed a dude in cold blood, and the boy's twin brother held him in his arms as he died. He got to be held accountable, and it's going to follow him for the rest of his life. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read a couple of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get started on these tariffs. Nichelle says, some of us are doing our best to raise great kids. YN culture is trash, and when our best and brightest are dying young, we lose a piece of a better future. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Enforcer says, White Lives Matter, say his name, black supremacy, no justice, no peace. Miss Crotty Shetty, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Elizabeth Williams says you are correcting your assessment, AD. I know. Listen, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to call a spade a spade. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into this tariff situation. I want to talk about the markets reacting to the tariffs, and I'm going to share a couple of different videos on this. One of them from yesterday, and I believe one of them from 2 hours ago. I'm going to share the one from 2 hours ago via Good Morning America First for you guys, and then I'm going to give you what my assessment is and why I believe personally that this will be the greatest wealth transfer and the biggest opportunity for people that know ever in history. ever in history personally. All right, but let me go ahead and share one of the most recent updates that I was able to find. This is Good Morning America, and I want to show y'all what they had to say.
Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce with the latest on how President Trump is reacting to the fallout from his new tariffs and the emerging trade war. Good morning, Mary. And Mary, the president insisting everything is going, quote, very well. Well, despite the market meltdown.
Yeah, Michael, good morning. The president is really trying to take this all in stride. He is equating the economy to a sick patient that is now healing and arguing that his tariffs are the cure. This morning, with the markets plunging and America's allies reeling, President Trump undeterred, defending his tariffs, arguing this is all going according to plan.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on. And it's a big thing.
The president, who previously admitted tariffs could cause some short-term economic pain, now painting only a rosy picture.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
But Wall Street firmly condemning Trump's efforts to reshape the global economy, markets tumbling. Trump is touting trillions of dollars in new investments in the U.S. as he promises his tariffs will spark a renaissance in American manufacturing. But even he now admits that could take years.
They can build them fast, but they're still very planned. So I'd always say it would take a year and a half to 2 years.
The president making no mention of what happens in the interim. Economists warning American businesses will pay more to build products here than overseas, costs that will be passed on to consumers. The president's top aides out in force, brushing off concerns about skyrocketing prices, urging Americans to have faith in the president.
You got to trust Donald Trump in the White House. That's why they put him there. Let him fix it.
Democrats blasting the president. Islands off the coast of Antarctica that don't produce anything, one that's mainly inhabited by penguins.
Donald Trump has single-handedly created a financial forest fire.
Our closest allies are sounding the alarm. French President Emmanuel Macron saying Americans, be that businesses or the people, will come out of this weaker and poorer. And Canada, our ally to the north, now sounding more like an adversary.
Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality. We must respond with both purpose and force.
Now, the president says he is open to negotiating with countries if they offer something, in his words, that's, quote, phenomenal. But this morning, this trade war is only escalating. As you just heard, China now responding with a 34% additional tariff on all imported U.S. products, Mike.
So I'm going to get into the Chinese, actually, with their tariffs, and that's going to be an entirely different segment. But let me speak on this, and then we can go over to the next clip, because I got another clip that I want to share with you guys prior to giving you my assessment, my full assessment. But let me give you a general idea of what's happening. When you see other people complain about what you do, if every other country is in your favor and they saying, good job, I love what you're doing, United States of America, you guys are awesome, be very wary. Be very careful and be very wary. The reason why other countries loved us so much is not because they actually was in favor of American policies, is because they've been able to take advantage of us for the entirety of our lives. For most of us, I am 42 years old. For most of us, the transition from a lot of these places being less than the standard, third world countries. China used to be a place where they had bad air, trash factories. It was nothing but they just, you know what I'm saying? They used to label China the child labor capital of the world. Now China, in less than 30 years, has now rose to be a world power. Do you know why? It's because we have basically paid for them to build up their entire economy, their entire country, and they've done it on the backs of getting rid of American jobs. So what you're going to see is a jumping out the window and everybody reacting immediately when the majority of people don't even have $1,000 to put into the stock market at all. Most of the people that is going to sit there and criticize it are not the ones that actually is impacted by it at all. Now, I will tell you that I have a ton of money in the market. Anybody that knows me, anybody that's a part of the Patreon knows that I keep a lot of money. The majority of my money's in the market, and I continue to dollar cost average. Every single month, I continue to buy more. I don't really even care. I'm largely unaffected by it. Because number one, from a business perspective, you don't take a loss unless you sell. And the one thing that I learned in 2008 that has helped me in 2025 is that when everybody sold and everybody liquidated their 401ks and everybody took the fees and everybody panicked, the smart money and the people that actually understood what the market was doing looked at it as a buying opportunity and they bought more. And they got filthy rich. There was a market correction and they got filthy rich. And not only did they buy more stocks, not only did they buy more Apple, Microsoft, not only did they buy all of the things that wind up booming and making them filthy rich, you know what else they did? They then capitalized off the real estate market, which is two markets that I am heavily invested in and advocate for. They capitalized off the real estate market. That's exactly what they did. They got houses at 5% on the dollar. They got houses at 10% on the dollar. And guess what happened to all of the portfolios and the 401ks and all of this stuff? You know what it did? It came roaring back, and everybody that stayed put, they recovered every single thing. And not only did they recover it, they got 200% returns on the thing that they originally bought in for. And they capitalized off of the discount that they then had an opportunity to buy. If Trump has been warning us since inauguration day that this was coming, we knew what the markets was going to do. If you are the idiot that didn't get it on the way, and I'm not even a person that believes in shorting stocks, but if you the idiot that didn't get it on the way down and is going to get it going up back on the way up, then I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. If you're the idiot that's not getting filthy rich, if you don't have the ability to go and buy another 9/11 if you want to, if you decide to do so, we knew that this was coming a mile away. We knew, listen, there has never been a better opportunity that's right in front of your face that's going to be a market correction. We didn't know that it was going to be a market correction because we didn't know that the pandemic was going to happen in 2019 going into 2020. Some people knew what was going to happen as far as the 2008 crash for the housing crisis. And that was largely proprietary information that was capitalized off of by bankers and people that was in the know. This was so in front of your face that we knew and we predicted, we talked about it. We've been talking about it for the last 2 months that there was going to be a market correction. If you're not getting it on the way down and getting it going on the way back up, shame on you. Shame on you. This was the biggest opportunity for you in the world. In the world. And more importantly, the reason why other markets are reacting to us, the reason why the world is so upset that Trump is putting tariffs is because they want to be the ones that continue to capitalize off of the American market like they have been over the last 40 years. Why wouldn't they be? It's the same thing with NATO. Of course, they're our ally if we paying 85% of all of the monies that goes inside of NATO. Of course, you're my ally. Why wouldn't you be my ally? I knew a guy, it was a politician, right? It was a politician. And I would never say any names. I would never say anything because they are still very active in politics. But it was a politician. And I kind of looked at him. He's not black. But I kind of looked at him as the guy from The Wire. I don't know if y'all know who that is, the guy from The Wire. I forgot what his name was. And he would always say, "He." I don't know what his name was in The Wire, but that's how I looked at him, right? I looked at him in the same vein, the exact same vein, right? And it was a politician that I knew. And again, this was just a learning experience. Clay Davis. His name was Clay Davis on The Wire. Right. And when I first started to, meet him and all of this stuff, and he convinced me, real slick talker, good with his words and all of this stuff. He convinced me to support his campaign and stuff like that, right? And then every time that he would get in a pickle, or every time that I would see certain things happen on the news, he would always make a phone call to me, and he was always checking on me. Hey, Anton, what's going on? How's everything going? Or whatever, so on and so forth, right? And it would cost me. I'm just being absolutely honest. It would cost me. And his loyalty was based off of how I continued to support him through any time that he had to fix a situation, or any time that he had a situation that he had to navigate through. He would always hit us up. It wasn't just me. He would hit up a lot of different people. But it wasn't until I started communicating with other people that I was in the room with that I realized that he was doing the same thing. And he was always celebrating us, and he would always hold us down, and he would always make sure that he acknowledged us, and everything was always good. And one time I decided, you know what? I'm not going to answer the phone this time, because I already knew what he was calling for. We had been hit up so many times. So wasn't, because we was all in conversations now. And we had been hit up so many times, and we decided that we didn't want to answer the phone this time. And all of a sudden, the loyalty started to wane a little bit because we didn't answer the phone. And it wasn't just me, it was multiple of us that didn't answer the phone. And then it started to become a problem, right? Then we started to have issues with whatever it was that was happening, right? But what I'm telling you is that our loyalty was for sale. Now, we're not stupid, and so I understood that it was a business decision, and you always have to weigh the pros and the cons. And this is how I know that politics is something completely different than business world. Is way, way more cutthroat than the streets. Way more cutthroat than the streets. But what I'm telling you is that the reason why other nations are so concerned with what we're in the United States of America doing for Americans is because we've been politicking and selling ourselves short. And so as long as we continue to get rid of American factories, did you know that over 90,000 American factories have left the United States of America, and we've shipped all of those jobs overseas? And that is the reason why they loved us so much. That is the reason why they are our partners. You think, wait. You think that Canada love us? Do you think that Canadians love Americans? How many of y'all have ever visited another country and you got so much love? You know why we get so much love? When I go out here in Mexico, you know why they show me so much love? Because I'm gonna drop a vlog today of us being in the streets and seeing what was going on out in the streets. You know why they show me so much love? Because they look at me as a meal ticket. They don't love me. They're not looking at me and saying, "Oh man, you such a good guy." They're looking at me as a come up. They don't expect. And now, listen, I'm going to show it on the vlog today. Everybody else that walked up to the stand, everybody else that supported, you know what they charged them in? They mentioned pesos. You know what happened when me and Rita walked up there? Americans. American dollars. If you go over to the Dominican Republic in certain cities, don't you know that they got a separate menu? They got a separate amount that they charge Americans versus what they charge the people that are native to there, or people that actually understand what's going on? They have a separate menu for you and a separate menu for everybody else. They prefer for you to pay in American dollars, and then they charge everybody else whatever the native currency is inside of that country. They don't love you. They love your money. These other countries ain't rocking with us. They love the fact that we continue to subsidize their economies by having a trade deficit and shipping all of the American jobs there. So while we sitting there acting like we getting cheaper products, we really subsidizing their lifestyle. What you think that I don't know, even though it costs me less to be here in Mexico, that it costs the natives even less, and that my American dollar go further than what they pesos is going when I come here? I ain't stupid. So we go to these places and we give all of our money and we don't really get anything in return except for to say, man, it's cheap here. It's different here. It ain't as bad as I thought it was here. And then we go home and act like we ain't got no kind of understanding on how it is that we moving in our society and our culture. Won't spend $2 to support the guy that's down the street, and we'll sit here and give all of our money because we so in love with making everybody else love us so that we can give them all of our money. And that is literally a one-for-one comparison of what you see happening with tariffs across the world. Let's get back into the markets and see what they talk about.
It's a tariff. So what do we make of it? We saw
Again, this was from yesterday.
Market reaction, no surprise, lower in the after hours so far.
No surprise. Now, the day actually sort of made sense to me. Market route, we talked about this sort of yesterday. Personally, I thought there'd be sort of a pullback, not as draconian, not as robust. The market would like that. We would continue to rally. The bond market would sell off. To a certain extent, we saw that during the day. Obviously, a lot of things have been reversed now. So what do you try to make of this? Well, Treasury Secretary Bessent and President Trump have asked for lower rates in terms of 10-year. Announcement like this might get them to lower rates. The question is, at what cost? That 5,500 level in the S&P clearly is going to start to come into play again. But, secretly, I wonder myself, have deals already been in place, despite what they say about we're not going to negotiate, you can't call us, or things in place where a week or so from now, there's countries at the White House or the Rose Garden that are acquiescing, and there's some sort of detente in terms of what's going on. So maybe this is sort of act 2 or 3 in a 5-act play.
Yeah, I think the debate, and a lot of folks have been talking about this, is this policy or is it politics, right? And so at the end of the day, it's kind of what Guy's just talking about is like, are they going to take the calls to your question? Are they looking to do deals? And, when I think about how targeted some of these tariffs are and how basically, whatever they come back with, these countries that are being targeted, a lot of these are really in Trump country. If you think about it, they're in red states. You think about what happened with farmers going back to 2018, the trade war. I mean, they collected tariffs. They collected tens of billions of dollars in tariffs from farmers. And then you know what they ended up doing? They ended up giving it back to them in relief, So you're going to do that to the auto workers in Michigan. I mean, the list goes on and on. So at the end of the day, I'm probably more in Guy's camp that, they're talking a tough game here. I think they probably want to do some deals. They probably won't end up doing them, So at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where maybe they're focused on the yield. I think they're going to have to get focused on the stock market pretty soon.
We were talking about certainty.
You know what's so funny? People keep telling me that everything is going to go up. Autos is going to go up. You know what the headline was that I read today via the Free Press and the Detroit News and USA Today? You know what the first thing that I read today as soon as I seen thing? Ford is offering a new campaign as tariffs kick in, offering steep discounts on its vehicles. That's the first thing that popped up. The first thing that popped up in my notifications when I woke up this morning is, wait a minute, they're actually offering discounts. They are giving you the same pricing that they give their employees in order to continue to move vehicles because they have an overabundance of inventory and they have over 64 days worth of inventory. And when you count in what was in transit, they actually have over 72 days of inventory. Ford Motor Company actually employs more employees in the United States of America than any other automaker inside of the United States. The first thing that I see from people that keep telling me that it's going to cost more money is that they're actually offering discounts, employee pricing. I almost went and bought a Navigator. If I wasn't here in the United States, if I wasn't here in Mexico, I almost went and bought a Navigator. I love that new Navigator, that 2025-26 Navigator. I almost went and bought a Navigator. Almost called the dealer from here in Mexico and said, hey, put in the order for the Navigator. The first thing that I seen when I woke up this morning is Ford is offering a discount on its vehicles as tariffs kick in. Ford Motor Company wants U.S. customers to know it is the dominant American car company that is pushing a message in a new ad campaign that promotes the automaker's U.S. footprint. The campaign is also going to offer car buyers discounts across much of the Ford and Lincoln lineup. The automaker is launching the From America for America on Thursday, the day that President Trump's tariffs will be enacted into the auto industry. The campaign will run in traditional media, print advertisements, television spots, social media, says Ford's director of U.S. sales. As a part of the campaign, Ford will offer its employee pricing plan known as the A plan, that's what we used to call it, to consumers on most of Ford's 2024-25 model year vehicles through June 2nd. Ford is also extending the June 30 program that offers a free home charger and complimentary installation to those that purchase and lease an all-electric vehicle. They say that, for example, on an F-150, you basically getting $10,000 off on employee pricing, depending on whatever the cost of the vehicle is. Okay, so cool. I want to know how much more money that this is going to cost us in the market, considering that they are now telling us that it is going to hit our pocketbooks and this is going to crush the United States of America. That's all I'm saying. I would love to know how this is going to impact us. Let's continue.
Whether or not we have any more certainty. As Megan had mentioned, even though we know these country-specific and the baseline tariff regime that we will operate in, we don't know the sector-specific ones, such as on pharma, which will face tremendous tariffs because many of the raw materials come from China. We won't know semiconductors, which also will probably face some pretty stiff tariffs.
True.
But we do know for autos, we saw a turnaround in the after-hour session. Somewhat. GM was down as much as 3%. It's now down 1%. You're pointing out also the Mexican peso.
Yes, and that was sort of, I actually rallied a little bit. I don't know where it is right this minute, but I think, do we have certainty, not on the things that you said?
Yeah.
Do we have certainty on what the worst case scenario is? I think we do. I think this is the biggest tariffs we would see. I agree with both Guy and Sunshine Dan that it is very possible and probably more than 50% likely that we do see some movement there. It's interesting after the first round of tariffs going years back, how there was
you're not finna get that navigator. Is that like incentive because you want to see if I'm gonna take the bait and I'm gonna say, yeah, man, you know what? Yeah, man, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and add to the collection. You know I got over 10 cars, right? You know I got 10 cars, right? And I ain't talking about them little donkey cars that y'all be driving. I ain't talking about the little hoopties that you got. You got 10 cars that cost $500 a piece and they all in the junkyard and they need parts from each other. Bro, we not the same. We not the same. If I decide that I'm going to go and get a navigator, and I ain't about to make a phone call because I can. If I decide that I'm going to go and get a navigator, I'm going to go and buy a navigator. I'm just trying to figure out whether or not I actually can drive a navigator because I got a motorcycle that I just bought that I ain't even rode yet.
Such a push to leave China manufacturing, go elsewhere, go to Vietnam, go to Thailand. Well, okay, so that's sort of been thrown into flux. I think, you're right to see the 10-year, could the 10-year come down and inflation go up? Both of those things seem likely.
I already got a Bronco.
So that's sort of interesting. And I think, so who does it benefit? I think it benefits a Walmart over a Target, but doesn't absolutely benefit either of them. So if you've got power, you're going to be relatively better off, but not better off than you were yesterday.
I'm not the desk statesman, so me trying to parse whether this is going to be policy or politics, as Dan stated, I just think for me it's probably over my head and outside of my level of interest. What I am concerned about is how this is likely going to affect the stock market and what is Trump's willingness to affect the stock market. And I think here we have seen that this is probably worse than the worst case that was modeled in. And so even if we do start to see some reprieve from what the levels that have been indicated right now, what is likely going to be the stock market response? I think any presidential put, I think you might at least want to rethink whether that is actually in play. And if you are in fact getting a lower 10-year yield or 7 to 10-year yield because of lower growth expectations, I think you also want to think about how we're arriving at said destination point. I will say, yes, across the board, you've got a mix. We thought perhaps maybe we're going to get one sweeping tariff level, or perhaps you're going to get, but we've gotten a mixture of both, which I do think, I do think my other panelists are making a strong point in terms of them kind of kitchen sinking it. However, given his reluctance to pull back despite what we have seen in a weaker stock market, tells me that perhaps he is a bit more emboldened than we're giving credit for being.
I believe that it is going to be a huge buying opportunity for companies that are America first or companies that already have a larger infrastructure and impact inside of the United States. They're going to get a competitive advantage. I have several different companies that I want to discuss inside of Stock Club. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. We never react based off of the short-term impact of what's going to happen. We always make investments based off of what we think is going to happen 10 years from now. So I can't wait to do this live stream in Stock Club for you guys. Make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's continue on. I'm going to read some of the super chats, and then we're going to go over into China's reaction and their tariffs on the United States of America. Anton, what do you think about Trump media stock? Nah, big dog, I'm good. Listen, if anybody that's a part of the Patreon, you know that there's 8 things that I look for when I'm looking to invest in the stock market, okay? or looking to invest in a company. Andre Wells says, I'm a CPA and registered investment advisor. He's right. Dollar cost averaging and having a big reservoir of cash during a downturn is the best play. Thank you, Andre Wells, for actually substantiating exactly what I've been telling these people for the longest. High Tolerance says the one complaining are ones with little to no vested interest, too much like right to make proper adjustments and keep pushing. There's no adjustments that you need to make. You just need to continue to dollar cost average. Rashawn Irving says this is hypocritical at its finest. Nancy Pelosi presented the same argument with the graph in 1996. Check the video. Mika spoke on this yesterday on her channel. Oh, well, you know what? Let me hold off on going over into China's reaction to it. And let's talk about that. Nancy Pelosi. See, you didn't know that I was prepared, but I am. For all of the raging liberals and the Democrats that feel some type of way about it, let me share something with you really quickly, because I really, really want y'all to understand that this is not personal. This is something that even Democrats support, but they are gaslighting you into believing that they don't, because they want to remove Trump from power because he's the person that's actually putting America in the best position possible. This is Nancy Mace from 1996 speaking specifically about what Trump is doing today, but they never had the balls to implement it back in their time. Check it out.
I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of you each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996.
Now, remember, this is 1995-96. Imagine what it was like today.
Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain...
Wait a minute. She back then was using the exact same charts, the exact same tactics, the exact same verbiage, the exact same examples, and it's just exaggerated now because the numbers are so much bigger and we've been subsidizing China for so long, and y'all want y'all Temu products. So wait a minute. Nancy Pelosi, a raging Democrat liberal, and trust me, listen, I have examples from Barack Obama. I'm just going to stretch them out through next week. I have examples from Bernie Sanders. I have examples from some of the most prominent Democrats of all time. They were saying we needed to do this back in 1996. 30 years ago, they were saying that we needed to do this. The Democrat Party, who has now become so far left that everything Trump is doing, they say, oh no, it's bad. The market. We needed to do this 30 years ago and we wouldn't even be in this position. If they actually had the balls to not ship our jobs overseas and ship our jobs over to China with the North America Free Trade Agreement and all of these opening up of our borders, if they had the balls to do it, they were. This is why I said that the Democrats of yesteryear ain't the same Democrats of today. They're using the same logic, the same verbiage, the same examples. They're using the exact same thing. How are y'all sitting here gaslighting me while they supported the very thing that Trump is doing today? This was not a Republican versus Democrat issue. This was something that Democrats was advocating for in 1996. The same people that are in power. Nancy Pelosi is still in power today. She just pushed Joe Biden out for the election in order to get Kamala Harris. The same thing. Same language and everything.
Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction. In terms,
let's get to the jobs part. This is the most important part. This is the part that really kills me right here.
Of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. Not only do we not have market access, not only do they have prohibitive tariffs, not only are our exports not let in very specifically, but China benefits with at least 10 million jobs from U.S.-China trade.
So I was right. So I did get it right when I said that we basically built China to be the superpower that it is today. And we did it on the backs of American workers. And so we got rid of our jobs and we created tens of millions of jobs for the Chinese and built up an entire economy, while at the same time they stole our proprietary technology. They stole everything that we've learned and we developed in research and development in order to make the cars and create the jobs in the first place. They took our technology, they subsidized their own economy, they built it up. We had a trade deficit. Democrats was in support of it, and I've been right the entire time, and all we got to do is pull up the previous clips to be able to substantiate it, but they don't want us to talk about this. They don't want us to talk about it. Go ahead. All of y'all Democrats that's in the chat that said that Trump is wrong, keep that same rhetoric. Keep that same rhetoric. Let's continue.
The president in his statement requesting this special waiver said that China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser. And one of the reasons that it is because well, first let me just make another point, and that is that our colleagues on the other side of this issue will say the trade with China, exports to China have increased 3 times in the last 10 years. They have. But they fail to mention that imports from China have increased 11 times, thereby leading to this huge trade deficit. The other issue, in addition, if intellectual property is a $2 billion, $3 billion loss, technology transfer is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. If you want to sell to China, your products into China, the Chinese insist that you open a factory there. They take...
What? Have Anton been not preaching this to you guys for years? Have I not been telling y'all that I've been studying the Chinese market for years, even to the point that I've been learning Mandarin? Have I not been explaining to you guys that for years, for at least the last 2 years, I've been telling y'all on this platform that Chinese requires what we're now requiring for the world to do in order to do business inside of America. In order to... You gotta be kidding me. What in the world is going on in the United States of a tariff? This is crazy. You telling me that they force American companies in order to give them jobs and to show them and give away all of their technology in order to even be doing business in China, which they never profited from in the first place? No way. This is insane. Crazy. Where's all of my liberals that's in the chat right now? Where's Uncut Underground? Where's Eric D? Where's all of the liberals? Where's Zeroyce? Where's all of the people that was sitting there telling us that this is crazy? You got the #1 Democrat. I think that Nancy Pelosi is actually the most powerful Democrat in the country, saying the exact same things that I've been teaching and the things that Trump is implementing that no politician before him had the balls to actually do. You don't say. This is crazy.
Misappropriate your technology, open factories of their own, and then say to you, now we want to see your plan for export. That's as simply as I can say it briefly. But the fact is, this isn't about products made in America. The Chinese want American products that are made in China. And the most serious of these transfers of technology are in the airline industry, where Boeing tail sections of the Boeing 737s were mostly made in Wichita, Kansas. Now they are made in Shen province, where workers make $50 a month.
This, you know what? This is mind blowing. I can't believe Anton was able to find this type of clip. that this clip does not exist on YouTube. You know where I had to go and get this clip from? You're not going to like this one. You're not going to like this one. I had to go and get this clip from X because Elon Musk now allows for anybody to upload previous clips, as well as he doesn't believe in censorship that the Biden administration was forcing on Twitter and every other platform when they came into office in 2020. So wait a minute. I had to go to an alternative platform to be able to upload this to YouTube so that I could present this thing to you today and show you where the hypocrisy lies with the Democrat Party and why Trump is actually right. And Trump actually supported Democrat policies from the early 90s. What? This is crazy, right? No.
And they had the transfer of the technology and the transfer of the jobs has taken place. General Motors, Ford, they're all fighting to get in to build factories there so they can make parts there. They want MFN so they can get those parts back into the United States. So we are exporting not low-tech jobs and textile jobs. We're exporting our technology. Now, if you take a country the size of China with the very cheap, and in some instances, slave labor, the lack of market access, the rip off our intellectual property, the transfer of technology, a country that is not willing to play by the rules in any respect in this trade relationship, you have a serious threat not only to our relationship, but to the industrialized world. And if there's one message that I want our colleagues to understand today and our constituents is that on this day, your member of Congress could have drawn the line to say to the President of the United States, do something about this U.S.-China trade relationship that is a job loser for the United States. And this brings us to the...
So basically, you were telling Clinton and Bush to do something that Trump is now under dire circumstances because the United States of America is on a bridge of collapse because we've subsidized countries like China for all of this time. The very thing that you were begging the president to do in 1996, Trump is doing it 30 years later. Well said, Nancy. Well said, Nancy Pelosi. Wow. Do something. Do something. Don't throw away all of these American jobs. Don't destroy the UAW. Don't absolutely destroy our steel industries. Don't get rid of the plant that was making the tails and the wings for the Boeing airplanes in Wichita, Kansas. Don't get rid of the General Motors jobs that are then being exported over to China and then they basically subsidizing their own. Good God, I can't believe it. No way, no how. What in the hell is going on? Where are all of my Democrats? Because this is Nancy Pelosi, Democrat in California, who's still Democrat in California, that is sitting there advocating against the very thing that Trump is doing right now. Where are all of my raging Democrats that basically think that we were gaslighting them? But Trump is doing the thing that Nancy Pelosi and all of the Democrats was asking for because, don't get me wrong. We don't have enough time today, but we're going to get to it all next week. I'm going to stretch this out. Barack Obama said the same thing. Bernie Sanders said the same thing. All of these Democrats, see, I'm old enough to know what was happening back then because I was in Detroit where we lost all of the goddamn jobs. And that ain't the only thing that they advocated for. You know what they advocated for? Stronger borders, closing off people that were immigrating into this country. Tariff in other countries to prevent American jobs from being able to leave and actually forcing people to do business inside of our countries. America first. When Trump says, make America great again, that's what he means. Getting back to the thing that y'all was asking them to do back in 1990, goddamn 6. You want to know why y'all can't get out of high school and get a good paying job anymore? Because they didn't act on Nancy Pelosi's advice in 1996. And we were justified because we got a couple of little carrots back in the 90s as to why we needed to actually support the Democratic Party. So if you was a Democrat in the 90s, nobody really tripped about it because guess what? They weren't all crazy like Jasmine Crockett and AOC is today. They wasn't trying to kill American jobs like Kamala Harris is today. They were actually halfway logical. That's why we was halfway okay with being a part of the Democratic Party back in the 90s, because they wasn't crazy. They actually worked with the Republicans, and they worked to try to keep American jobs. And it didn't matter because they still sold you out and they gave all of your products to China. We got people here today, and they don't even want to do the thing that's in the best interest of their children. We're not doing it for us. We're doing it for our children that come after us. The people that's coming after us is going to be the ones that suffer by us not making a hard decision today that they couldn't do in the 90s. So when I then say I hold your ancestors or your OGs accountable because they sold us short, that's why. That is the best example. That is the perfect example of why I told you guys why I hold people accountable that came before us, because they had all the opportunity in the world to give you the jobs and the education, the American economy that we needed today, and they fell short and they failed you. And now I'm going to start once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, pulling up old clips to show you why you are a hypocrite by supporting the Democrat plantation and you should have left a long time ago, and why Trump is doing the right thing. Even if you think it is a short-term dip in the stock market, we are going to get richer than ever before, and your kids is going to thank you as a result of it. Nancy Pelosi. Man, look, can't believe that these people is out here moving the way that they're moving. Crazy. Crazy. The same thing that I preach every single day on this platform. Y'all called me crazy for it. Well, I guess that since Nancy Pelosi just said it, maybe it's cool now, huh? Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I'm cooking this week. Since I got to Mexico, I've been in deep thought. I had some time to get away from all of the hustle and bustle and all of the people that was trying to pull on me in Detroit. But I got some deep thought when I got to Mexico. I said, okay, we gonna cook. It's cook time. I'm Jesse Pinkman, Walter White, Breaking Bad, cooking on the Millionaire Morning Show. Said it's that Mexican water. It says seal. Purificada. Says seal. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Anton is working. It's a Wealthy says, I live in Frisco. I went to Lone Star, which is right down the street from Memorial. I'm going to just say that the news is saying it's not the whole story. So you live down the street and you got the whole story? All right. Kyle Davis says, foreigners get mad when you try to give them their money when you visit in their company, their country. Happened to me in Jamaica. Yep. Chad from Moore says, auto sales has been going downhill for the last couple of years. Devontae says 80 is right about other countries not effing with U.S. products. When I was stationed in Germany, all you seen was Audi, Benz, and BMW. And I'd have to stack up on food products on base before leaving the base. Talk about can't have no excuse. And when they go to their Thanksgiving dinner in this fall, they're going to have all of the information to get away from the Democrat plantation. Just a brown girl in America says, hey, Anton, I want to start buying stock. I feel like this is a good time. But what do I know? Is it? Yeah. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. I'm going to bring y'all up to speed. I got y'all. We're doing a live stream this weekend. Maybe I'll do it on Monday when I get back. I'm going to try to do a live stream on Sunday, but maybe Monday right after the Millionaire Morning Show. Don't let MSM fool you. Disasters are opportunities. Nancy Pelosi low-key is a bag chaser. Facts, A.R. Smitty. Buddy305 Love says, AD, I wonder what happened to Chuck and Nancy between 1996 and today. To quote Nelly, must be the money. Saucy says, I just emailed you an interview with Terrence Howard on Patrick Bet David. Great interview. All right, I'll check it out. What up to my girl Mika says, good morning, AD. I lived live. Nancy yesterday on this yesterday. But Dems do this often and say things they advocate for, they're against now. That's because Trump is doing it. AB says, to change the Democrats' mind, please post old videos that will open their eyes. It ain't going to open their eyes. They hell-bent on being against America and being against Trump. Buddy305 Love says, libs are going to say Nancy misspoke in 1996, even though she had the chart, huh? Atone's sitting there, Anton's sitting there thinking in the Mobius chair. Shout out to Wesley Turner. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you to everybody that continue to support the blog. Okay, so now that we have the information, because I like to structure my show so that people really understand what's going on. Now that we know what's happening with the markets, now that we know that Trump's liberation tariffs is in place, now that we know what's happening over in Frisco and that they stabbing people, now let's talk about China's tariffs, because I think it then puts you in a different mind state now that you understand what's going on, right? Because the Chinese are reacting to the tariffs, all right? And they are a little bit pissed off about what's going on. And so while you see all of these people actually getting upset at the fact that Trump is doing the things that's in the best interest of Americans, let's now see what the Chinese are going to do and what our reaction is to it. I like to use other platforms. I don't want to just go with Fox News. I don't want to go with C-SPAN's Nancy Pelosi. I don't want to go with the local news. Let's see what they're saying on the liberal side, on the CNN side.
Look out below. Take a look at U.S. stock futures. All markets on edge and dropping. These futures just took a notable turn downward again on the heels of the worst day Wall Street has seen in 5 years. Now, right now, futures aren't quite as bad as yesterday, almost as bad, but they're still not looking good at all. And they just dropped more on the news that China is striking back, retaliatory tariffs, big ones.
Let's dig more into the breaking news that John was talking about at the top. China is now hitting back, retaliating against the Trump tariffs, announcing this morning it is now slapping a reciprocal 34% tariff on all U.S. goods. With stock futures, I mean, this is not looking good.
We literally could have crushed China back in the 90s. We could have crushed them. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. They would be eating out of the palm of our hands, and they wouldn't even be talking about BRICS or being a world power or their currency manipulation or any of that type of stuff. They wouldn't even have the capacity to even have this conversation with us. We wouldn't even have them buying up Africa if we had crushed them in the 90s. The United States of American Democrats back in the 90s basically gave China the power to take over Africa today. Ain't that crazy when you start to look at it in hindsight? Because we don't go back enough far in history to be able to have these conversations. We wouldn't even be having a conversation about China in the first place had we not subsidized the economy and basically gave them all of the power to do what they want to do right now. And somebody got rich off of it. A bunch of Democrats got rich off of it. Crazy, ain't it?
The next piece of data that investors and beyond are also going to be looking at this morning is the March jobs report. It comes out next hour. To date, the labor data has painted a picture of a jobs market that's cooling but not contracting. Is that all about to change? CNN's Matt Egan is here. Let's start with this breaking news, though, which is China now says 34%.
Yeah, look, that is why we're seeing more mayhem in financial markets around the world. Markets are going boom, but they're going boom down. Look at this. Dow futures off by almost 3%. This signals another 1,200-point loss at the opening bell. That's on top of yesterday's 1,700-point loss. Steeper losses for the NASDAQ futures down 3%. So what happened was futures were down a bit, and then China retaliated. They came back and they say they're putting a 34% tariff on goods that are made in the United States. It's not shocking to see China fire back.
Right.
But this is an escalation that investors, of course, did not want to see, because retaliation, it can kill jobs here in the United States. It can slow economic growth, and it could just fan more retaliation. You could get into this escalatory cycle that is almost impossible to get out of. One other big development that happened last night is JP Morgan came out with a new recession warning. They previously said that they thought there's a 40% chance of a recession in the US and in the world economy. They've just upped that to 60%, citing specifically the tariffs. And of course, this is one of the reasons why we've seen markets take such a hit in recent days, but another recession warning here.
And how bad was yesterday?
Yeah, it was so bad that some people on Wall Street have said, instead of calling it Liberation Day, they're calling it Obliteration Day. It was the worst day for U.S. stocks since COVID. We saw the S&P 500 close at a 7-month low. We saw oil prices fall very sharply. Tech stocks get clobbered up.
I think that the market correction during the pandemic was probably one of the biggest opportunities that I've capitalized off of. I would say it was the second biggest market opportunity that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And that's when I was telling you guys to eventually get out of Peloton because they was going to collapse. I had warned y'all about Zillow. That had happened. And it was a lot of other opportunities that we really, really capitalized off of and took advantage of. But that was probably the second biggest opportunity that I've capitalized off of as far as the market is concerned in my entire life. 100%. But let's continue.
Bond yields went down because investors piled into the safety of ultra safe government debt. One of the only things that went up on the day was fear. We saw the VIX volatility index go straight up. One of the stocks that got hit the hardest was Apple. Apple's really kind of at the epicenter here, right? It's the world's most valuable company. Yesterday, it lost $310 billion.
And I'm going to speak on every last one of these companies. There are some companies that I think is really going to come out of this and they are going to explode. I do not want to mention it on the Millionaire Morning Show. It's funny, I was reading the comments on the Darth Anton channel from the vlog that I dropped yesterday. And somebody was complaining and they said, how come you don't give us all of the information that you talk about on the Patreon to us right here? We deserve it too. And I started to type a comment back to say, suck my, but I'm not willing to do that. I'm not giving out any Patreon information. I'm going to break down the markets. I'm going to break down the stocks. I'm going to break down the charts. I'm going to give y'all everything that I'm doing personally. I'm not going to tell y'all what to do, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing in order to continue to capitalize off of it. The same way that we capitalized right before the pandemic or during the pandemic, the same way that we capitalized a little bit after the 2008 housing correction. We're going to do the same thing here today, okay?
$1 billion, worst day since 2020 for Apple, and that's because they make a lot of their stuff, their iPhones and other items, they make it all overseas, and those products are now facing steep tariffs. And again, now you have China retaliating.
U.S. stock futures turning sharply downward, and they keep getting worse, I have to say. This on the heels of the news released just a short time ago that China is imposing 34%.
Give me a second. I'm going to share it now because I want to share it from both platforms. And tell you exactly what Fox News perspective was on the whole situation. I actually need to switch. So we got to have that YouTube premium. We're not going to be doing it. Let me share this really quickly, and then we're going to deep dive into it. And then make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned.
Right now, the Dow future is down sharply as global markets take a big hit in response to President Trump's tariffs announcements. And just
somebody said the
China
damn
announced plans to
fear
implement.
And panic. Fear and panic is really profitable. Fear and panic is some of the most profitable things that you can then use to come up and be successful.
34% retaliatory, thank you, tariffs on U.S. goods starting April 10th.
So senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich is watching all this. She's a little seasick, and she joins us now. Jackie, tell us the latest. And you have your own landscaper issues, it sounds like.
I do. I do. You know, Brian, this market reaction was a shock to everyone, really, except for President Trump, who likened it to a scheduled medical procedure to treat a sick patient.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom. The stock is going to boom. The country is going to boom.
And his administration is echoing that line, even as the impacts keep coming. This morning, China announcing retaliatory tariffs of 34% effective April 10th. That, by the way, is exactly the kind of countermeasure that Treasury Secretary said would prompt escalation from the U.S., repeatedly warning against it. The president's aides maintain the strategy will work and the fallout will be short, despite recession warnings from some economists.
This will be a short time of uncertainty, and then we'll move back to the prosperity that this president has envisioned, that he is so bold and so willing to fight for. And I couldn't be more proud and stand next to him. The new golden age of prosperity will move in.
Now, there are some signs that the president's prescription might work. General Motors announcing plans to boost production of light-duty trucks in the U.S., announcing that it is hiring several hundred temporary workers as the auto industry also grapples with sector-specific tariffs.
The renaissance of American manufacturing coming because Donald Trump is bringing them back. He's driving them back. $6 trillion, he said today, he's got committed to America. It's unbelievable.
There's a lot of companies that are now racing to build plants, infrastructure, and factories and jobs here in the United States of America to avoid tariffs. They are racing. I will tell you this. Did you know, a lot of people don't even know this, but we don't build American cars here. Ford, Chrysler, well, we call it Stellantis, but we call it Chrysler in Detroit. Did you know we got rid of everything? We don't make, and they basically got rid of. Chrysler was the last person to really do it as far as getting rid of the Challenger and the Charger, and that's why they phased that out. And then they gave us that piece of shit. Sorry, this is Friday, so I'm cursing a little bit. They gave us that piece of shit new Charger that they got coming out that's all electric. But Ford basically opted out of building any more American cars, and that's when you're seeing the getting rid of the Taurus. They had got rid of the Fiesta. They got rid of the Focus. They got rid of all of those cars, and they no longer sold or made those cars inside of the United States of America. General Motors got rid of making all of those cars inside of the United States of America. They moved all of those cars down to Mexico. They moved all of those vehicles down to Mexico.
And other countries are also responding. Mexico and Canada both hastening negotiations with the U.S. toward a new USMCA trade deal. Eric Trump posting to X, I wouldn't want to be the last country that tries to negotiate a trade deal with Donald Trump. The first to negotiate will win. The last will absolutely lose. I've seen this movie my entire life. Meantime, Democrats are sounding off about the inflationary impacts of this plan in the House, planning to force a vote to try to kill the tariffs entirely, guys.
All right. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jackie. All right.
Brian?
So this just came across, guys. So China officially has retaliated. You know, when you put the fentanyl penalty along with the tariffs issued yesterday, we have tariffed China over 50%. They have just responded. They don't want to be bullied, air quotes. They with a 34% tariffs. They also listed 11 American companies of so-called unreliable entities. And they're going to halt chicken imports too. Listen, we get a lot more from them than they get from us. Yeah, and drone companies, which a lot of it's going to hurt the defense industry too, because a lot of the parts that we use, sadly and astoundingly, that our Pentagon uses are from parts and materials that we get from China. So this is a big wake-up call. The other big story is pharmaceuticals are going to be targeted as early as today. Why? Remember, we don't make any drugs here, but yet we use them all. So how do you bring manufacturing back? Well, if you're in Ireland, there's no reason to come here. It's at 0%. But now we're going to start bringing them back as tariffs hit. Lastly, about China, it looks like we're going to tariff third parties that buy Venezuelan oil. Guess who buys Venezuelan oil? China. So they could be hit in the oil pocket too.
Well, Brian, I think the statement that they produce and they're being bullied is comical. They steal products. They use slave labor. They spy on everything that we do, especially if you're a company there, you got to turn over all your data to them as well. And they use that to build up. They're funding some of my...
A lot of times people have no idea what they're talking about. Real talk. When I say that they've been stealing our proprietary technology, and I've said that over and over again, when you do business in China, you have to give them all of your secrets so that they can then build it faster and cheaper, and then they run you out of the market. It's crazy. We never, ever, ever should have been dependent on another country for our infrastructure, for our goddamn military. What is wrong with us? Boy, but did we ever just mess up prior to Trump? Just sold this whole country short. Sold everything short, sold everything out, want the cheapest products ever. Ever. They have stolen we have made everybody rich. And now we got to put it into it. We got to put it into it. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm. And this is what we mean by being America first. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and move over to the next part of the show. It's sad. It's so sad. Billy Goat Gruff says, you were right. 75% of us are stupid. And when you say something correct, the 75% numbskulls band together to refute you. They hurting themselves. They ain't hurting me. Stephen Butler says, so with the chart Nancy had up, we can deduce that they knew Clinton was messing up by selling our jobs off, but never stopped him, ever. Messy Mathematician says, Q pasa AD. You better step your Spanish up. Donde este mis tacos? Why kami mis zapatos? Hey, listen, you know me, Messi. I speak American. You know what I'm saying? Elizabeth Williams says, I did see that gas rose slightly, but that was expected. I'm not worried. Ain't nothing to worry about. Dems thrive on trying to create fear and panic. For real, Shamara. And Mr. Joe says, USC student was killed in a hit and run. The suspect is an illegal migrant wanted by ICE. That was one of the things that I asked all of those raging Democrats out there on the street. I said, why would you guys want people in here that's not supposed to be here legally? Elizabeth says Timo and Sheen are made from slave labor and folks don't even seem bothered by it. They don't care. Man, you think that they care about some children that they ain't gonna see? Get that product out there so they can bust it down for a real one. All right, y'all, let me go ahead and pivot for a second. Let's talk about Kamala Harris. All right, y'all. I want to talk about Cam. Let me see something really quickly. 1, 2, tariffs, 3 Chinese, 4 Nancy Pelosi, and 5 education. Let's talk about Kamala Harris really quickly. I want to make sure I get this in there. Kamala is back in the news, y'all. She's starting to do her speeches. She hitting her campaign trail. Did you know that people that run for president or people that are former presidents or people that ultimately get to the bag, that the biggest way that they make money is by doing speeches? Speeches and selling books. It's true. The biggest way that they make money is they get hired to show up at these events and do speeches. That is the way that a lot of these Democrats, people like Kamala Harris, she is appearing at so many different things, at This Is Blooming, at this, and they are hiring her and they're putting money in her pocket and they're hiring her for these speeches for her to speak against what is happening inside of the United States of America. So with that being said, she has now appeared. She is appearing more than ever. She's appearing on live streams. She's doing speeches. And this is the take from MSNBC. I'm sorry. I have to apologize ahead of time. You just did a video on it, Mika. I have to apologize ahead of time that we are going to be watching MSNBC and getting their take on it. But this is some of what Kamala Harris had to say. And she was saying that she told you so, that we were going to deal with Trump as the way that we're dealing with him right now.
One person, when a few stand with the courage, that is the courage exhibited by the leaders in this room every day, to stand, to have the courage to say, I feel fear. The courage to say what is happening is wrong. The courage to say that there is a way that we must chart to get through this. Understanding our power in the democracy we still have if we hold on to it. Courage is contagious.
What could have been, everyone? What could have been? That, of course, was former Vice President Kamala Harris speaking at a summit of women leaders earlier this evening. It's one of the first times we've seen her speak out since her November election loss. She hasn't been out there a ton. We'll see if she comes out more. She also spoke about the current state of fear in our country.
We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing those who are capitulating.
Capitulating, nice.
To clearly unconstitutional threats. And these are the things that we are witnessing each day in these last few months in our country. And it understandably creates a great sense of fear.
I believe I was wrong about something. And so I'm going to bring myself to the front of the congregation. I believe I was wrong about something. I believe, stay with me on this one, guys. Stay with me on this one. I'm starting to question if Kamala Harris is actually going to run for governor of California. I believe that if Kamala Harris was going to run for governor of California, she probably would have already done so. She would have announced it. They are waiting for her to determine whether or not she's going to run for governor of California, because if she does, it's a shoo-in. I think that she is testing the waters and weighing her options to figure out if she's actually going to run for president of the United States of America. I think that she believes that she can win, regardless of whether Obama believed in her, regardless of whether Biden believed in her, regardless of whether any of these people believed in her. I believe that Kamala Harris and her people believe that she can win president in 2028. I don't think that they thought that they lost because it was a fluke. I think that they think that they lost because she didn't have enough time to hit the campaign trail. And so they're still blaming Biden for giving her the nomination too late. And they think that she should have got the nomination way before that. She thinks and she believes, based off of what is happening in this economic climate, that they can galvanize the base based off of what happened in Wisconsin with the Supreme Court pick and winning that seat in Wisconsin. I believe that she believes that she can win a president of the United States of America. I may be wrong. I thought that she was going to go for governor of California, but I believe that she thinks that she can win. She's starting to pop back out.
Because, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
All women in the audience.
First of all, she predicted a lot of these things that were going to happen.
When I seen people reacting to this on other social media platforms, do you know who the people that I seen reacting to it? Gay guys. I seen a lot of gay guys, and they just so happen to be black for whatever reason. It's always a lot of black gay guys that react to it, and they be like, listen, man, see, Kamala is back. Kamala is back. I told you so. I'm going to pull it up.
So agree.
I keep seeing all of these sassy guys pop up.
Because, there were many, we're saying people,
Y'all, there are some.
This is all I keep seeing. I'm going to share it with y'all.
because, there were many things that we knew would happen.
This is what I keep seeing. I'm going to show y'all. I got to share it with you because I don't want to gaslight y'all. I want y'all to see who the people are that's getting excited that Kamala Harris is now maybe running for president of the United States of America and popping back out. This is what they're saying.
There are some moments, y'all, there are some moments in life that have to feel so good.
Because, there were many things that we knew. I'm not here.
I know that had to feel so good to just get out and just say, like, I told you. Girl, I told y'all. I called you on three-way. I called you from a block number. I called you from a private number. I came back and I knocked on your door and told you what was going to happen. And y'all didn't want to listen. And it just makes me wonder how long she's been holding that in because of all the unfair expectations that are placed on her and other femmes in this society for no reason, that she always has to maintain decorum and can't say, hey, not only was I better, I was right. I know for Kamala Harris, that had to feel so good. And she deserves to say that because so many things that she had predicted have come true already. And we're only in year 6 of the Trump presidency. Like, this is the 6th year of it. What happens when we get to year 75? That man is not leaving the office. So.
I'm sorry I got to torture y'all a little bit. We're going to get back to MSNBC, but I just wanted to share with y'all why that speech is going viral, because there is a lot of black women and sassy black men and white men and feminists that are on the internet getting excited and they're saying, see, I told you so, I told you that, she said, she told you that, da, 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 da. There's a lot of chatter, but let's get into MSNBC's reaction to it, and then we're gonna go from there.
And many people are definitely scared. We see that out there. We're also seeing that people are going out in full force to resist, with mass mobilization across the country, including a huge nationwide rally called Hands Off plans on Saturday. And joining me now is one of the people headlining the rally in D.C., Congressman
Molly. You don't want to hang out with him and have a conversation with him, Molly?
Jamie Raskin, who is, of course, a Democrat of Maryland, also ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, it's great to see you. First, it's been a pretty good week for Democrats, I think. A week where people saw lots of candidates announce they were going to run. You saw Senator Booker do an overnight inspiring moment on the floor. Lots of good things happening in Wisconsin. And you're going to be the headline speaker for the Hands Off rally, as I mentioned, in D.C., with an expected attendance of 12,500 people. We'll see. Where do you see this mobilization effort against the Trump administration policies at this moment?
Well, I was telling everybody back when people were complaining about where's the Democratic leadership, where's the energy, where's the focus, that it takes a while to fully absorb the shock of these events. I mean, we're talking about a full-blown attempt at an authoritarian takeover of our country and a purge of federal workers, and we're being hit on all fronts. But now everybody is in a fighting mood. I am down here in Orlando, Florida with my buddy Maxwell Frost. He just kicked off his year-long organizing program, and he's the co-chair of Democracy Summer. We're going to be announcing Democracy Summer. We're hoping to have more than 1,000 young people across the country working full-time on Democratic campaigns and studying with great Democratic heroes of the past. The energy is extraordinary. It's astounding. What is this, a Thursday night? There were, 350 people just packed in the firefighters hall, and lots of people couldn't get in.
I'm
everywhere,
going to,
all over America.
My next move, personally, I believe that I am going to start hitting these events. Somebody had hit me up with an event that was supposed to be happening on April 5th, which is tomorrow. I would have had to cut out Tigers opening day to go to these events on April 5th so that I can see what's happening. But I think that my next move, probably regularly, more often than not, hopefully I can get out daily since the weather has changed. When I get back to the United States of America, I am going to start hitting these events, and I want to see what the people are talking about. I'm gonna hit the events on both sides. Any event, biggest ones in the States, I'm gonna go to different cities. I'm gonna go and fly, and I'm gonna go and talk to the people, and I'm gonna go and let them cuss me out and see what happens. I want to know what their thoughts are. I need to see the people who are supporting. I need to see the people who are protesting. I want to understand them. I want to get their opinions. I want to have conversations with them. I'm always up for having a conversation or a debate with somebody that thinks differently than me. So I'm definitely going to be in these streets. The minute that I get back, I gotta make sure I take care of some business. And then on Monday, we're gonna be back in the studio. And so maybe Tuesday, maybe start Tuesday and Wednesday, or maybe I'll just do once a week, every Wednesday. Just see what the streets is talking about. Every Wednesday I do it, or maybe on the weekends I see what's happening, and we'll see what's going on. So yeah, maybe I'll hit the streets. But I do believe that Kamala Harris is testing the waters to see whether or not she can run for the president of the United States of America. But my advice to most people would just be this: chill out, relax. Time tells all. Let's see how things shake out. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description, and I'm going to go over how we can capitalize off of this market. And I can't wait to have this conversation with you guys. So within the next few days, the next 2 to 3 days, we will definitely be having the live stream and a conversation. Worst case scenario, Monday. Best case scenario, Sunday. All right. Worst case scenario, Monday. Best case scenario, Sunday. We will be doing a live stream. Our next stock club is up. So if you're not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let me read some of these super chats. And then I'm going to see y'all tonight. Make sure that y'all hit a like on your way out the door, too. You love me in this chair? I like this chair. Y'all think I should have a chair like this inside of the Millionaire Morning Show studio? I like this chair. Isn't tech theft what China did with BYD? Yes, I believe so. Just did a video on her stupid self. Shout out to my girl Molly. Molly. I apologize, Mika. Sam Atkins says speech shows she was never presidential material. Facts. Michael X Fit says speech books inside trading. Ask Nancy. Mika says I have to go, but don't let nobody take your power. Shout out to my girl Mika. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to her channel. Eric D says if the tariffs work, and Trump turns the economy around during his term, I will admit it. But if they cause more damage and worsen our economy during his reign, will you admit that you were wrong? I'm never wrong, bro. Raphael Gibbs says selling fear right in our faces. Abe the Hunter says if she won, we would have had grown men in the streets with their tighty whities. Yo, I don't have no I ain't skip leg day though. By the end of the stream, I'll let y'all know whether or not I got pants on or not, or if I got shorts on. I think Kamala will lose to Grant Cardone. Says Just Christian. Knox Econ says if Cam won, BYD would have built those Mexican factories, and the U.S. automakers would die off with foreign companies buying the leftovers. Facts. Andrew says Kamala is big on gun bans. Unconstitutional. Courage is contagious. She said it 20 times and still didn't make a point. Mr. Joe says ninjas like him is the reason why I stay away from DC and ATL. I believe you've been misinformed. AD opening day is today. Oh, Tigers opening day is today. I'm not inside of the United States of America right now either way. So, but I'll be back in a couple days. Yeah. Nah, ID. This the one stream. No one brought it up. Y'all didn't bring it up? Pause Olympics. Yo, listen, dog. I am not skipping leg day at all. Don't you see how beautiful I'm starting to really become? I'm transforming and all of that stuff. What you mean you'll be back? Where y'all going? Y'all want to see if I didn't skip leg day. Bro, I just think I should stand up all together so you can see what's going on down here. I'm about to start an OnlyPants. I didn't skip leg day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Actually, I got on shorts, believe it or not. I got on shorts. See? I got on shorts. See, it's not even that bad. I got on shorts. Oh, this is gold. I got on shorts. I got beautiful legs too. Beautiful legs. Anyways, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and do your notifications. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest ever. And yes, I do wear Hoochie Daddy shorts. I wear Hoochie Daddy shorts. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I might not even be wearing clothes tonight on After Hours. All right? Don't skip leg day. Don't skip leg day. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love this show. Y'all got to admit that I don't take myself serious. You can't take yourself serious, bro. You got to be able to have fun, enjoy life, make fun of yourself, and get to the money. That is what life is truly about. It's about enjoying yourself, getting to the money, and don't taking yourself so serious. You know what I'm saying? Let's enjoy life. Let's have a good time because you only get one life to live. Flip that leg up, says Anton is Diddy's true form. No pants diddler. I left and came back to legs. So funny to come in and see you sitting like that. Hey, we got to have some fun, baby. You know what I'm saying? As long as you ain't smacking that hip. See, I actually do wear pants, or I wear shorts anyways. All right. At least I'm not completely nude. Leg day is popping. I'm working on my calves. Working on my calves. See the calves? I'm working on my calves. Leg day, baby. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll let y'all later. Peace.